Hello everyone. How are you doing? Today we're going to talk about music styles, and this class is going to be 100% in English. So there is no Portuguese explanation after we explain everything in English, okay? But I will try to speak slowly and pause every time so you can understand what I say perfectly, okay? No matter what level you are. So, let's start the class today. My name is Teacher PC Jr. and welcome to In a Rush English. Okay, so let's talk about music styles today. The first music style we are going to talk about is blues. Let's learn a little about the history of this music style. African Americans were transported to America as slaves. We know that sad part of American, Brazilian, and other countries' history, right? Not sad, cruel and criminal part of the history. And their melodies and rhythms went with them. They brought to America, they took to the United States, okay? Of course, a great part of their culture, okay? Many African Americans became Christians. They converted to the Christian religion and sang hymns in church. Okay, hymns are those more traditional songs we sing in church. Others learned to play popular songs for money. It was the combination of Africa and Western music, okay, the combination of the African traditional music and the music they already had in the United States that led to the genre blues. Okay, so blues is formed basically by the music that African people brought to America and the music they already had in the US. So it became blues. Did you know that? Now let's talk a little bit about jazz. Most African American musicians only played blues, okay? But some played classical music as well. Classical music like Beethoven, Bach, all right? And learned European harmony. So most African American musicians played blues by then, okay? And some of them played classical music and learned European harmony. Some even mixed harmony with the rhythms and scales of blues. And it was from this mixture that jazz was born. Jazz was born by the mixture of the rhythms and scales of blues, and the European harmony. So that's how jazz was created. If I'm mistaken, please let me know in the comments below, right? Now let's talk about rhythm and blues, R&B, Beyonce's style, okay? As jazz was becoming more and more popular in the 1930s and 1940s, another new genre was starting to develop. Many African Americans were professional blues musicians, but making money was not easy. So they formed small bands and looked for work in cheap bars and clubs. But to get work, they had to attract audience, because if there is no public, the manager or the owner of the bars and the clubs would not invite them to play. Okay? So most young people who went to these places thought blues was old-fashioned, okay? Was something like cheesy, something that was not worth to be listened to in that at that time, was something for the old people. That's what they thought. Okay, so the bands had to develop a new style of blues, okay, and that's what they call R&B and rhythm and blues, which is very popular until today. Now let's talk about rock and roll, which is, in my opinion, the way it was created back then, okay, something that white people tried to do to take what they learned from black people and say it was theirs. Okay, but let's see what's written in the official history. By the early 50s, another new genre called rock and roll was being created by musicians who could play both R&B and Western swing, a popular style of country dance music. This new music was played on the same set of instruments as R&B: electric guitar, double bass and drums, with the guitarist often singing as well. Okay, for me, it's just something that developed from rhythm and blues, but I'm not a very huge fan of rock and roll. I don't know what you think of rock and roll. Let me know. I'm not talking about this heavy metals and all this stuff. I'm talking about rock and roll, okay, which is this this genre that came from the R&B that African Americans developed back then. Now let's talk a little bit about country music, okay? Country music was one of the first genres of modern American popular music, and old-time music was its earliest style. It developed in the southeastern states of the USA as a mix of folk music from the British Isles, church music, and African American blues. It means that most of the American popular music, even the ones that are more popular among white people, they have black people's reference, okay? It was played on instruments like acoustic guitar, mandolin, auto harp, fiddle, and the banjo. Auto harp is like a small harp. It's related to the zither, and fiddle or fiddle. It is an instrument that looks like a violin, but it's not a violin. All right. Now let's talk about soul music. Soul music is a genre of African American popular music that led many later genres from funk and dance music to hip hop and contemporary R&B. It developed in the USA in the late 1950s from African American church music called gospel music. After slavery ended in 1865, African Americans weren't welcome in the churches of white people. So they built their own churches and sang Christian songs with African American vocal styles and rhythms. And that is what we like to see in movies and those big choirs. We love this. We love to watch this kind of stuff, right? So, guys, it's very important to mention the contribution. I'm not saying contribution because most of it the black people brought to America in slavery. So it's not a contribution. It's like something we stole from them. All right, we stole from them. So it's very important to mention that black people, that the genres that came from the African people brought to America is what makes American music so rich, right? And okay, we talked about soul. Now let's talk about hip hop and finish this class for today. So, all right, let's not talk about hip hop right now because it's not here. But hip hop, guys, is very famous and it's very popular. Let's not read what's written there because it's the same info that was in the one before. But let's talk about hip hop. Do you know rap singers? Do you know the skate culture and all the stuff? It's all related to hip hop. Hip hop is so much more than a music style. It's culture. Okay, it's culture, it's art, it's painting, it's sport, it's dancing, it's music. Okay, so, and of course I don't have to mention this for you, it also came to the world, okay, came to existence, okay, with a lot of African American influence, just like all the other popular rhythms in the States. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this class. I tried to level down my English the most I could so you could understand it easily, even if you are in a more basic level. Okay, so I hope to see you soon. I hope you enjoy your holidays. See you next year on January 11th. Okay, so bye bye, see you later.